baseball fans? Welcome to another episode of Put Me in Coach, Eclipse Edition. The sun disappeared today. It's a podcast about baseball. My name is Matt Coggins.
And my name is Carl Mizell, and I haven't taken these glasses off all day. It's a good thing I was on PTO today, because otherwise
I was going to say, probably hard to drive home.
Yeah, I didn't get anything done today. No, I'm going to take these off here. Take my headphone off so I don't get a paper cut in my ear. That would suck. How were you? How was the eclipse for you? Did you get any? How close were you into the path?
We were at like 90. I think about the same as most parts of Michigan. About like 90% coverage. We didn't get a full, ring around the shadow, but it was mostly disappeared for a second. Kind of cool. I work at a natural history museum, so they were doing some events around the concept of an eclipse, so it was kind of fun. How about you?
Oh, I had a crown. I had a crown put on, or a temporary.
Oh,
I had a temporary crown. That's why I was on PTO today. I had a temporary crown put on. They have to like do all this stuff and measure it and get a good one. So I didn't really have, and I work in pharmacy, so there's not really nobody cares about the eclipse.
Yeah,
they're all working. So
no one at least was like, "Do you guys see what the sun's doing out there?" Like no one was even like that.
No. I mean, I'm glad my son is a kindergartner and he got to put on the glasses and they took him outside and he got to see it and he wanted to come home, but he kept calling it the apocalypse. And I was like, well, some people would agree with you. But all day I kept daydreaming about the one. There's like one person out there who somehow had no idea what was happening, and they're just like, this is weird. It's getting kind of dark. It's like 3. You guys seeing this? Huh?
Something's going on here. I don't know.
I'm sure it's
cold.
Nothing.
Everybody's gathering, looking up. This is bizarre.
Yeah, and apparently some folks in Cleveland, because they were like right in the line of the eclipse, they all gathered at Progressive Field to. From what I heard, there were a lot of people taking pictures from Progressive Field, and
I think they opened their gates a little early. I believe it was supposed to be a 2:00 game. They postponed it to after the eclipse, essentially. So they opened the gates early, and folks got to see it from their seats. And because they're in the path of totality, it went fully dark, and they had the stadium lights on at 3:00 in the afternoon, and it's a gorgeous sight. I implore everybody to go look up what it looked like, because it looks awesome.
That's so cool. I'm envious, and I was in Ohio last weekend for work, so I wish I had an excuse to stay down there a little bit longer and see the totality. But we still got
thing people rarely say about Ohio.
I know, right? I mean, it's fine. It's Ohio.
We're actually going to be talking a little bit about Progressive Field a little bit later in the show.
We are, and let's not keep dillying and dallying with the crosstalk. Let's get on with the chatter.
Yeah, this week's episode, we're talking about a lot of new stuff coming to baseball this year. New additions, renovations to ballparks, and of course, the most important topic that we could possibly cover: the new food that you can find at your local ballpark. If this becomes a yearly tradition, I think it'll be my favorite yearly tradition. But right now, it's only the second annual food episode. And I'm glad we're doing this after the season has started, because last year I was sort of like, oh, I kind of vaguely know about this and I know about that. I have so much material now for this. So
yeah, and you've actually tried some of this firsthand. I recognized one of the pictures in the script. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Photo credit Matt Coggins.
Yeah. So we're going to get to that a little bit later, but first let's listen to the baseball news. The big news this week, of course, is that Oakland A's, right? I guess they're no longer the Oakland A's. The A's, the Athletics, are moving to Sacramento temporarily while they wait for their big stadium to be built in Vegas. The move will be for the 25 to 27 seasons, an option to play there in 28 if they haven't finished that stadium by then. Like, I don't know how long it takes for a stadium to be built, but like, what the hell? They're going to play at this park called Sutter Health Park. It is the stadium where the Giants AAA team plays, the Sacramento River Cats. It's about a 10,000 seat stadium. I think they're supposed to be increasing it to about 14,000, but that is still well below the average Major League Baseball stadium.
Yeah, it's so bad. And the consensus amongst players who've played there is like AAA stadium, thumbs up. A perfectly fine AAA stadium. Major League stadium, not a chance in hell. This is a clown show. This is the most John Fisher thing that could happen in this situation. This is the ultimate fuck you. It was never about it coming to any agreement in Oakland. He would rather pull his team and put them in a bandbox of a AAA stadium and then talk about how he can't wait to see Aaron Judge come hit home runs.
Yeah, can't wait to see an opposing player hit home runs off of my pitchers. What the fuck?
He's just the biggest fucking idiot. I swear to God.
Yeah. I guess he's friends with the guy that owns the stadium, and that's how this deal was made. The city of Oakland definitely tried to make a deal with Fisher and the A's, but they kind of balked at whatever the city threw in front of them until eventually they're like, oh, no, we're just going to move here for a little bit. And it's really a shame because it also goes to show that it was never about like not filling the stadium. Because if that was kind of the excuse, is like, well, we'd love to stay in Oakland, but no one comes to the games. How are you supposed to make a case that we belong in this city if nobody comes to the games? It's like, okay, well, the Coliseum fits 40,000 people at a quarter capacity. That's a full stadium in Sacramento. Are you going to sell that many tickets in Sacramento? If the Tigers moved for whatever reason to Saginaw and played on the Dow Diamond, are you going to fill the Saginaw Dow Diamond with Tigers fans? I doubt it.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean, the novelty will wear off very quickly.
Yeah.
But the good, I mean, Oakland doesn't draw for good reason. I'm never going to be the kind of person to blame that on Oakland fans. That is, if you don't give them a product to care about on the field, I don't blame them for not going. The Tigers are now down 5-1 going into the top of the fourth inning against Pittsburgh. They're not giving me much of a reason to give a shit at this point, but at least there's effort. You know what I mean? Like, Oakland, John Fisher is actively trying to make this team worse. Yeah.
And there was also something fishy. Nobody really knows exactly why, but one of the players, Estoy Ruiz, one of the champions on my fantasy team, about, 3-4 days before this move happened, he was sent down to the minors immediately after the first series. They played their first series over the opening weekend. He was hitting a stellar like 414, lots of power. He, of course, had the rookie record for stolen bases last year, and he was second in the whole league in stolen bases, right behind Ronald Acuna Jr. And he was sent down to AAA. And they didn't really say why. They were like, well, he's got a lot to work on. And it's like, seems like he's working on it, man. And you just had spring training, too. How do you say a guy's got a lot to work on if you've just spent a month in spring training? Obviously, it's bullshit. And obviously, the Oakland coach isn't going to tell you the real reason. It seems a lot of, internet sleuths have put together that Ruiz, as well as a couple of other Oakland players, were wearing little wristbands that were advertising a bar called the Last Dive Bar. And that's the bar, or the group of people that arranged that fan fest that we covered on the show last month. It was essentially, the A's used to have a big fan fest with all these former players, and then since Fisher took over, they stopped doing it. Well, this bar arranged it themselves and basically put the whole thing together, brought in a bunch of fans, and it's really cool. It was a great moment, obviously embarrassed Fisher to high hell. And so when these players start supporting the bar, wearing the merch, showing that they care about this city, no, get out. Obviously, that's not confirmed, but that's the conspiracy theory that I'm going to go with, because nothing else makes sense.
It doesn't. And again, you could belabor the point all day. This is unlikely to be the most John Fisherist thing that the Oakland A's do this season. It's only going to get worse, and ultimately, I'm calling my shot right now. I really don't think they're ever going to go to Las Vegas. I really don't. I don't see it happening. There are going to be too many roadblocks in the way that are going to get in the way of him trying to make the money from, that he thinks he's going to make. And he's just going to sell. I predict that. 3 years, just like on Tuesday of last week, had the last guests leave the Tropicana. Like they haven't even started destroying the building that is currently on the site where they intend to build the stadium. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you right now. I will be shocked if this actually happens.
I'd be delighted if that was the truth. And but it would be also very funny if they tear down the Tropicana, attempt to build a ballpark there, and then something happens with the Oakland A's or whatever they'll be by then. But we got to move on from this story. We got to talk about the pitchers that need Tommy John surgery. Another bad, unfortunate story. Shane Bieber and Yuri Perez officially out for the season with elbow injuries this week. Spencer Strider looking likely to join them. I didn't see any updates on Strider, but they said that he's got something wrong and he's getting further tests after getting an MRI. What did we say about Strider earlier this year, too? It was like, man, it'd be awesome to see him do the things that they think he's going to, as long as he stays healthy, which you hate to put that qualifier on somebody. Same with Yuri Perez. I was like, man, this guy's going to be huge if he stays healthy.
Yeah.
It's led to a lot of hemming and hawing. Oh, it's the pitch clock. It's this, it's that. I guess I'm a little concerned that people aren't really focusing on the real reason is that the arm was not meant to throw like that fast, that often.
Yeah.
And nobody's really, when you say, well, pitchers just have to stop throwing so hard, everyone's like, well, no.
No.
Because then they'll get hit.
Yep.
So then we just give up. And this is what happens.
No, I implore you. I'm going to send you. I don't know if I sent you. No, I sent you a different baseball prospectus link. I'm going to send you a link, and I would like you to put it in the show notes if you can. There's a couple, almost 2 months ago now, on Baseball Prospectus, they had a piece written by an anonymous professional pitcher who was going by the name John Holstaff. A play on the an obscure baseball term called Johnny Holstaff, which is like, bullpens. It's a bullpen game. Who's pitching today? Johnny Holstaff.
Oh, okay. Okay, I like that.
But he whoever he is, he makes a lot of excellent points. One, the Tyler Glasnow point, that there's a famous clip of Tyler Glasnow talking about how he's thrown with pine tar and or sunscreen and rosin, and that's the traditional grip that a lot of pitchers use for a long time, and he tried going without it, and then the next day he hurt in places he'd never felt before, because he's trying to grip the absolute shit out of that ball to impart spin, because a common cue, especially for a slider like him, was hold it like an egg. You're not trying to, if you choke that ball too much, choke it back in your grip, you're taking velocity off of it. That could be one thing, because they've made this crackdown on all sticky stuff, so now anything comes under suspicion. There are 16 muscles in and around the elbow and in the forearm. There's a lot that goes on in there, and if one link in that chain isn't working, it could cause problems. But the one thing he said that was fascinating to me, a lot of people, whenever you're playing survivorship bias bingo, Nolan Ryan is the center square on that bingo card. Because you're like, well, Nolan Ryan, he's the outlier, okay? He's the exception. Greg Maddux is another person that a lot of people like, just don't throw so hard and be like Greg Maddux. If more people could be like Greg Maddux, there would be more people like Greg Maddux. You can teach velocity. You can build up velocity. You can build up spin. Yeah. You cannot build up control. And another point, when Greg Maddux came up to the majors, he had a fastball that graded out at 70 to 80. That's a really good fastball, and he said it himself. I throw the ball as hard as I can, because the harder you throw it, the more it moves. That's it. You can't teach control. If more people could be like Greg Maddux, more people would be like Greg Maddux. But they can't. You cannot teach control like that. Just like Nolan Ryan's the freak for being so resilient, so physically resilient for all those years, Greg Maddux was a freak for just being able to put the ball where the fuck he wanted.
Yeah. I think that there's also a good example in Justin Verlander, who's probably the best contemporary still playing pitcher right now. For most of his career, he didn't come out the gate throwing 100. He usually started games in the mid-90s, sometimes the low 90s with his fastball, and would ramp up to that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. So by the time he exited the game in the 7th inning, he'd also usually go 7 innings. That's where the absolute filth fastball would come from. And since he didn't have the best stuff, he would throw his breaking ball, he'd throw his slider. He didn't have the two-seam fastball back then, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. It's like he would use the other stuff to make up for the fact that the fastball was a little hittable. It's a change, I think, in pitching that needs to happen, and I think it's less so about technique. Or I'm sorry, it's less so about like the problems and more about the technique. And I think that pitching in general needs a technique change.
Agreed.
In other news, something interesting, kind of related to what happened in Oakland, but Kansas City voters said no thank you to a massive stadium tax. So there was a tax that went on the ballot, which I think should happen way more. If you're going to ask the public to fund your stadium or your, sports project, put it on the ballot. And you'll see exactly what happened, because in Kansas City, the margin of victory or the margin of voting no was like 2-1 or something like that. It was the sales tax measure that was aimed at building a new ballpark for the Royals in downtown Kansas City. We talked about that a little bit a few episodes ago. And it was also going to renovate the Chiefs' Arrowhead Stadium, the football team. This is a baseball podcast, of course, but felt like that was good context. According to the team owners, since that happened, they're potentially thinking of leaving Kansas City, which I can tell it's like a spurned lover kind of response of like, oh, you guys don't want to give us a shit ton of money to build a stadium in the middle of your downtown area and, disrupt a bunch of businesses and everything? Fine. We don't even want to be here. It's like, fuck you. I've seen people literally got frostbite to go sit in Arrowhead for a playoff game this year. Like, Kansas City fans are diehards and they are loyal, but they don't want to pay for this fucking stadium. And I get that.
As do I. I completely agree. It's one of those things. I, as a taxpayer, even though I love sports, I do not want my tax dollars to go to fund anything to do with those facilities. A, because I think it's a waste of money, and B, it's not something that everybody uses.
Exactly.
That's what tax money should go to. And the reason these public money being used for private stadiums is unpopular across the country, but the ones that always get pushed through because they don't put them to a vote. Historically,
Yep.
the big chunks of money that go to these projects, they are tacked on as amendments. They're pushed through at all hours of the night. They're handled in backroom deals. When they're put to a vote, they are almost universally shut down. And that's I think I read something where it's like popular. It's like 60-30 or 66-33, like across the country. 66% of people, generally speaking, don't like these things.
Yeah.
No shit. You shouldn't. You should not like that. So good on you, citizens of Kansas City and the larger state of Missouri, for telling these idiots to kick rocks. And they're not going anywhere. They're not. I guarantee you. They are not the first team to go. They're not the first group of owners to go, man, it'd be a real shame if something were to happen to this team and we were to just suddenly end up in a new city. They're not fucking going anywhere. Think about how much you don't want to move from your 700 square foot apartment. Now imagine what it's like moving an entire fucking professional team.
I mean, we're literally seeing it over in California right now, and it's not going so well. So
no, it's not. They are bluffing. They are trying to make you think that your beloved sports team could go away. They don't want to move. They just don't want to pay for it. So they're trying to get you to do it.
yeah. Well, finally in the baseball news, we had a weird story. Another bad press day for Shohei Ohtani. Apparently, the fan who caught his first Dodger home run claims that she was shaken down and pressured by the Dodgers to give the ball up for a very paltry reward, which was just 2 hats and a bat. Theoretically signed by Shohei, but they weren't authenticated. They refused to authenticate the ball. They separated her from her husband, and she felt very pressured. She felt very taken advantage of. The whole thing was just fishy up and down. And later on, Shohei said that he spoke with her, or he met with her. The translation got a little lost, but that's kind of what he said. But he didn't. He did not meet with her. This lady never met Shohei. And so she went to the press, and then the Dodgers were like, oh, well, yeah, we guess they didn't deny it. So at least there's that. At least they didn't try to call this lady a liar. But
yeah.
They've tried to make amends. She's going to go back with some kind of on-field experience and great seats and maybe meet Shohei finally. But it's just another instance of the way these teams, I guess, especially the Dodgers, feel like they can kind of dictate the moment. And, that lady didn't owe the Dodgers anything. That ball was hers, and she could have just walked out the door with it. And they're like, well, we're not going to authenticate it. She's on TV catching it. I know you can't prove that that's the ball that he hit if they don't authenticate it, but what does that matter at this point? If you're going to get shaken down for it, it's just what a bizarre story, and it's just so funny that this guy's been playing in this country for 5 years now, 6 years now, and ever since he moved to the Dodgers, it's just bad story after bad story, and none of it has to do with his play. He's been playing fine, just it's very bizarre.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what happens when with the increased scrutiny of playing in the largest media market. I think LA's trumps New York.
He played in LA. I mean Anaheim, but he played in LA. I mean, he played for the Angels.
Nobody was paying attention to the Angels.
True.
That's my point. It just reeks. The grossest part is where they tried to separate her from her partner boyfriend. I thought I'd read boyfriend. I don't remember, but
I thought husband. But I don't know.
I can't remember. It was just gross. And I would have clutched that ball, like a war bride. Like, this means you're coming back to me, Shohei. Thank you, Kyle Kinane, for that joke. It's one of my favorite Kyle Kinane jokes. In case anybody's listening, going, that sounds like a Kyle Kinane bit. Somebody predicted it could have gone for $100,000 on the open market, because they in the Dodgers gift shop or club shop or whatever, there is an autographed Shohei Ohtani ball that is supposed to be from his first hit or something, first walk or something. But anyway, they're selling it. It's autographed for $15,000.
Jesus Christ. Hey, come get his first ground out to third base for $1,200.
Right,
what the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah. Do you got anything that hit him?
I would pay for a bucket of Mark Canha's hit by pitches for this season with the Mets. That's what I want.
That's a couple of buckets. That was a lot of hit by pitches that guy had.
That's a lot. And he's collecting them again. Yep. I know we got a lot to cover still, but I just wanted to briefly go over my soapbox, and this is the Mets soapbox of the week. Rain delays are fine, and not all stadiums need a roof. You only ever hear people complain about, why don't all these stadiums have a roof, when there's a rain delay or a rain cancellation. Granted, I live in New York, the storms can be kind of intense. The Mets are terrible with rain delays. They are awful. They will delay for, at the very least, 2-3 hours until they finally decide to pull the plug on a game. And that sucks. Not all teams are like that. But also, baseball has been being played since before lights were invented, since before the telephone was invented. We have always lived in a world where this sport was played outdoors and in the elements, and those elements include rain. Obviously, you can't play a full game if it's downpouring because they want to protect the field and protect the players on that field. They're gonna happen. It's 162 games. It sucks, and I get it, but they don't really delay football. That's because they only play once a week. They don't delay hockey because they play indoors and on ice. Like that, you have to play hockey indoors and on ice. But baseball, I personally feel, is an outdoor sport. It belongs outdoors. And if you live in a place like Arizona, Texas, where the elements can get awful, I totally understand the need for an indoor stadium. Florida, some kind of climate control. I get that. I don't disagree with the stadiums that are domed or roofed or indoors, but stadiums like Detroit, New York, Cleveland that are fully outdoors, and people are like, we should have put a dome on this thing. How do you build a stadium in 2009 and not put a dome on it? Shut up, because you're never even gonna care if it's not raining, and that is my soapbox.
I like it. I would like to split the difference. I think going forward, any new stadium built should be required to have a retractable roof. I think retractable roofs are a good difference splitter. But barring that, I think more than anything, I think Miguel Rojas this weekend in Chicago, he was demonstrably upset about the conditions. I don't have a problem with rain delays. I just think they need to be called sooner.
I agree.
They as soon as it starts raining, get them off the field. You don't want somebody out there. You don't want a guy. Again, we talk about how hard it is to grip a ball. You don't want somebody who's capable of throwing a ball through a human body to have an even harder time holding on to that ball. You don't want it. So call them sooner. And then just say, hey, man, don't make everybody wait until 9 p.m. for a 7 o'clock start to cancel the game. Just postpone it. Just don't. Hey, man, we've all got cell phones. These things can do a variety of things, including get on the internet and show you the radar. We can all see the radar. We know this shit's not breaking. Just call it.
Yeah, and radar or not, sometimes it's sort of like, okay, we might have a window to play this game for 2 hours starting around 9:30. It's like, come on, just call it. Fuck that. Do it tomorrow.
It's a Tuesday in April. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
All right. Moving on to our main topic, our brand new, beautiful ballparks. So, let's start with some stadium improvements, and then for dessert, we'll have the food. Did you like what I did there? Yeah,
I saw that.
So I think the best improvement came with the Blue Jays Rogers Center. They are trying to transform. This is a multi-year process. It started in the middle of last season, and they added a new part of this process this year. They're taking Rogers Center, which was built to be a multi-purpose sports venue, but at this point only hosts baseball. So they're going to transform it into a baseball stadium. It's going to be exclusively for baseball. And what does that mean? Well, last year they kind of redid the outfield wall or the outfield stands. They kind of redid everything that looks over there. And this year, starting this off season, they completely gutted the lower level, the 100 level of seats, and moved them all closer. The seating area is now closer to the field. The seats are now oriented so they point to the field. So there's not really a bad seat in the house. Everything is fully, the sight lines are better. There's a little more room for your legs. There's cup holders. And they also redid the player facilities, the clubhouses, the dugouts, everything underneath those seats. And I unfortunately don't have any pictures of this in the doc, but it's really cool, the transformation that this stadium made. And more for baseball. It's now a baseball stadium.
Yeah, and I would love... I went to the Rogers Center in 2006. I would love to go back and see how different it is, because it was weird. It was a ball game in June, but it was like 45 degrees outside that day, so the roof was closed. Yeah, it was
Toronto's a weird place like that, right?
Yeah, it is. It's one of my favorite cities on the planet. I love the city of Toronto, but it was just a weird weather day. It was like 45, 50 degrees, so they had the roof closed, and it was like playing ball in an airplane hangar. It was really, really weird. But yeah, no, I have seen some of the pictures. I think it looks fantastic, and I think it is slowly turning into a premier facility for playing ball.
There's also new scoreboards across the league. I think the biggest one, literally, is the Tigers Comerica Park. They took what was at one time when they first built the shell for this scoreboard in 2000. It was the biggest scoreboard in America, and over time, obviously, with changes in technology, that changed, and it went to like the 21st or something like that. Well, this year they're back to number 2 because they've completely covered this thing as an LED panel screen, and it's big and it's huge. Seeing all the videos of it during the game, it looks great. Number 2 scoreboard in the bigs, very much I think inspired by what they did with Citi Field, although not as big, and it's shape of a little T. Somebody was like, why would they not just do the whole thing? And I was like, it's a T, like Tiger. I like it.
Yeah. No, it looks cool as shit. I've seen it on some of the Bally broadcasts. Haven't gotten a chance to go down to see a game yet this year. I don't think I'll be able to do it until after June.
Oh man.
So yeah, maybe May. We'll see. But I've got a lot going on in June that I can't really make it happen. But yeah,
what I was excited about was that it's not covered in ads.
Yes.
Like, at least not yet anyway, but the whole thing was scoreboard, and everything was baseball information.
Yeah, but it used to have down the sides, it had like fixed ads down the side, and they just, like you said, just turned it all on the scoreboard. I'm all for it.
Citi Field is literally, like, that scoreboard, as many ads as they can fit in there while also putting the baseball information on, and it's kind of annoying because it's like that's real estate you could have put more baseball information on,
Yep.
Like for instance, the pitch types are on a completely different scoreboard at Citi Field, so you either have to look across the field or you have to look at a different scoreboard, and there's a strip of big fat Hebrew National ads or something like that, and I was like, hey, that could be the information for the pitcher. At Comerica, it's all on the big screen, and I love that. The Nationals, too, they also have completely redone their scoreboards. They've had the same scoreboard since they opened 15 years ago. Obviously, the technology's changed, and they redid every single scoreboard in the stadium, and I think that is awesome. And long overdue, I assume.
Yeah, probably.
Enormous changes with the way some of these stadiums are shaped, such as Cleveland and Atlanta. In Cleveland, they changed the entire upper deck. It kind of looked like it had like shipping containers up there at one point, and now they've replaced that with these sort of standing areas, a beer garden, open air bars and concession stands, a group outing space. Couldn't really surmise what that meant. And a family space. Also don't know what that means. But that's I guess sort of like the areas where you can like test how fast your fastball is, and like have the kids like hit the ball on a little miniature field. So that's a really cool addition. It's not just like trying to cram as many seats as possible. It's like giving a better ball game experience. Everybody wants a beer garden this year because that's almost exactly everything I said about Cleveland is what Atlanta did with Truist Park.
Yeah.
They added a beer garden. They added open air concessions, all that stuff. So beer gardens seem to be all the rage if you're making renovations to your stadium in 2024.
I don't even know how you do that. Like, beer's not even in season right now.
Oh, no. There we go.
Thank you. I was proud of that one.
Now, I thought this was one of the coolest parts. This isn't technically about the stadium, but it is a renovation nonetheless. The Padres improved the park outside of Petco Park. They had a lot of feedback from the community, and this seemed to be something that people were really interested in. So they completely redid that area as you walk into the park. There's a big grassy park area. And I keep using park invariably to refer to the stadium and the grassy area outside the stadium. But it's cool. It celebrates the Padres' history and baseball traditions, includes a new playground, a dog park, a pickleball court, public art displays, miniature ball field, and a viewing deck named in honor of Tony Gwynn. And the coolest part is that the park should be able to stay open year-round even when Petco isn't open. So, days that they're not home, days that the game's not being played, that park should be publicly accessible. And I think that that's awesome. And the pictures of that were gorgeous, too.
Yeah. The only problem I have with it is the pickleball court. I don't think we need more pickleball courts.
Now, it did say temporary pickleball courts, so when this sport goes out of fashion, they're gutting them. So.
That's why it's temporary. They're like, oh, what's going to go in there? Oh, nothing. We know this isn't going to last.
It's a fad, but, it's getting old people moving, so...
Yep.
What can you do? All right, now it's time for the most important thing that we're going to talk about all year, baseball food. All right. I hope you're hungry.
I'm not, but I will say this. The first thing that you have in the script, I brought Katie over when I was looking at the script, and I was like, look at this phenomenal piece of delectable, delicious looking food.
All right. So yes, this first thing, I wanted to kind of give us categories. So we are going to start with hot dogs, and I wanted to start with the best looking hot dog, like you said. This thing looks amazing. Chicago might not be playing that well this year, but boy howdy, are they bringing it with food. Polish sausage topped with smoked brisket and spicy barbecue sauce. This thing looks amazing. Some of this ballpark food doesn't look as good when you see the pictures of it, but this thing looks so good. Easily the best looking hot dog I've seen all year.
I've never wanted cylindrical meat in my mouth more than I want this in my face. I would do unspeakable things. This looks amazing. It looks amazing.
Following that up, the Pirates have a new food item called the Renegade. It's a foot-long hot dog topped with potato pierogies, pot roast, pickles, and onions. Now, the original picture from the Pirates looks decent. Pretty good. I love pierogies. I thought pierogi on a hot dog, that sounds pretty good. And pot roast too. Pierogi, pot roast, pickles, that's great. And then they show the picture from a fan of eating the hot dog in the stadium, and it looks far less appetizing. It looks sad.
I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. The other one, they might have had a food stylist, come in.
Yeah, true.
This is just some, random yinzer who went to PNC and got one and is just like holding it out, like doesn't understand the rule of thirds, or like maybe put a filter on it or something, like change the aperture speed on your iPhone. Jake?
But this one, they definitely is just, hey, I'm going to make 100 of these today. I better class it up. I'm sorry, probably thousands of them.
Yeah, exactly. I'd still eat it.
Again, pierogies on a hot dog with pot roast, I'm there. That sounds amazing.
This next one is giving the Chicago White Sox dog a run for its money, in my opinion.
This one, I want, so you know how that like Peacock will do like the 11:30 like early ass games? I want this at one of those. It's the Slinger Dog at Busch Stadium. It is 2 fried eggs on a 3-pound hot dog with nacho meat and hash browns. That thing looks like the best combination of breakfast and hot dog one could possibly imagine.
Yeah, that looks great. It looks a lot like my. It looks a lot like it's inspired by my breakfast today. I had a little leftover taco meat, so I turned it into an egg burrito. It was basically like a Southwest.
I love that.
Egg and taco burrito, and that's sort of what this is. Just replace
a hot dog in there.
Yeah, just throw a hot dog in there, and instead of a big tortilla, it's a bun. And
I think in general
delicious.
we should be eating more hot dogs for breakfast.
My 2.5-year-old would agree with you.
Speaking of hot dogs for breakfast, the Twins... No, don't eat this for breakfast. The Twins have what they call the Union Hmong Kitchen Banh Mi Brat. It's a James Beard Award-nominated kitchen. A sausage dish with pickled vegetable and caramelized garlic aioli. If you're a fan of banh mi, this looks like basically a banh mi brat. And I love... That's a good-sounding combo. That's a little out there. Some of these are like classic, like just throw a bunch of American shit on a bun, I'm gonna eat it. But this is like this idea of going a little out there with the banh mi on a brat too, not just a standard hot dog, but a brat. I like it.
Yeah, I'd fuck with it. It looks great. I love a banh mi, so I would, and I love a. Was it a brat?
Yeah,
it was a brat. Yeah, I love brats. How could this be bad?
Well, it's made in Minnesota.
Oh.
I don't know if we trust him with that. No, it sounds good. This next hot dog from Chase Field, the extra long, foot-long Sonoran hot dog. I don't know what they mean by XL. Is it fat on top of long? Hey. It's a Sonoran style, which means it has smoked bacon, ranch beans, mayo, mustard, and pico de gallo on a foot-long hot dog. That thing looks pretty appetizing too. It's in a picture with some nachos and a burger as well. But the hot dog in the background is just. It does look like a handful. Maybe the dog itself is a normal foot long, but it looks like you kind of have to hold the whole thing together a little delicately.
Yeah, it looks like you need a knife and a fork for it, and I don't like that.
That does kind of break the cardinal rule of hot dog.
Exactly. Like, if you saw somebody eating a hot dog, like if they ordered a hot dog and they're like, "Oh, can I get a knife and a fork for this?" You would pick the hot dog up and throw it in their face.
I think they'd take it away from you at the concession stand. Like, hey, you got knives and forks back there? For what? The hot dog? No. Give me that back.
Can I get a refund? No.
Nope. You lost that opportunity.
This is an asshole tax you just paid now.
This one's another weird one. This is from the Brewers in Milwaukee. It's called the Dog Gone Foul. And it looks kind of like a normal hot dog at passing glance, but it's actually a hot dog with a chicken finger tucked into the bun alongside of it and tater tots on top. There's also some kind of sweet barbecue sauce in there and ranch. I don't really get the tater tots or the chicken finger, but chicken finger with a hot dog, it just seems like too much. Like, you know, the other stuff was like fun ways to add onto what is great about a hot dog. This is like, hey, you like hot dog, right? Well, here's a chicken finger inside of it. Nah, that doesn't work.
No, this is you probably had some fun roommates. I know most of your roommates from college. But did you ever have one that, like, they might have come home at like 3 a.m. and you're already in bed because you got to get up early for a tech rehearsal the next day, and you hear them downstairs? Like, it sounds like a large raccoon has gotten into your kitchen. No, it's just your roommate, and this is what they're eating.
Yeah.
At 3, this looks like a drunk college kid came home at 3 a.m. from the White Horse, and just. Oh, you know, it'd be so good.
Whatever they had in the kitchen, they just threw onto a bun.
Because look at there's at least a full handful of like chives.
Yeah.
On that, just like
American cheese. I didn't even notice the cheese in there before.
There's cheese, ranch. There's so many chives because the lid fell off and they didn't care enough to try and pick some off. Like, it's already stuck to the ranch. I shouldn't have put the ranch on first. I'm not eating this one.
No, that's a downer for me. We're going to move on to burgers and sandwiches, and the Royals also brought one that looks a little less than appetizing, to be kind. This is the Back to Blue burger, which is a little too close to Back the Blue, but I'll let it slide. Features blue buns, I guess, with blue cheese crumbles, bacon, lettuce, and a buffalo aioli. This sounds disgusting, and it's not just the blue buns, but the blue buns aren't helping. And why would you put it on a blue plate? A blue bun with a blue plate with blue cheese.
Yeah, and then I had to, again, this was definitely food styled because I had to really lean in close to see what the hell that green thing was. It looks like Boston bib lettuce or something, but it doesn't go well with the rest of that. It's a lovely shade of blue, but it's unsettling because it's a hamburger bun.
It looks like that burger that SpongeBob makes to like give a guy food poisoning in that episode of SpongeBob.
It does a little bit. Now, I Burger King has made like their Whoppers with the black buns for Halloween.
I remember that.
I've eaten those. I survived. It definitely does weird things to your.
That was what I was going to ask.
Yeah, it definitely whatever they use to make the burger buns black turn your solid waste green, and not a nice shade of green.
I'm going to assume that this blue bun will do the exact same thing.
I would love to know, listener, if you get one of these, let us know what color your poop is when you're done.
Send us the picture. No, don't do that.
Please don't.
The Rangers have a brand new meatball garlic knot slider. Italian-style meatballs covered in marinara sauce on garlic knots, topped with Parmesan cheese. These things look good.
Yeah.
This is what a World Series championship team brings to the table right here.
I'm going to try and get I'm going to Globe Life in 2 weeks. I'm going to try and get my hands on these. I don't know. It looks like it. I'm guessing you're going to, like you experienced at Citi Field, you had to like have some
club
level,
access. Yeah,
some
well,
manner
I was
of
going to talk
club
about that a
access.
little bit with the City Field section, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I would hope that some of this stuff is available for everybody.
If I can get this, I will get this.
Get it and let us know and
I
take a
will.
picture of
Oh,
your
yeah.
poop. The Mariners will have a new food item this season called the Double Mitchwich, which features two different halves inspired by Mitch Haniger and Mitch Garver. Oh yeah, they have two Mitches. That's cute.
Yeah.
The Haniger half contains grilled chicken breast, marinated tomatoes, bacon, Havarti cheese, and fried avocado wedge, while the Garver side has pulled pork, sliced Black Forest ham, Swiss cheese, Dijonnaise, and sliced pickles. Now, both of those independently sound like good sandwiches. I don't know if I need both of them at the same time. You know?
No.
I would split this in half and share one side with somebody else.
Oh yeah, I get both, cut both in half, and then take one half of each sandwich.
It was one sandwich.
Oh, well, I'm looking at the picture. Looks like it's two different sandwiches.
I think they cut it in half, but that's
All right,
all one sandwich.
All right, well then cut those halves in halves,
Yeah.
or cut it to quarters. There you go, and then
Yeah, there we go.
yeah. Problem solved.
All right. Well, that's what we do here. We're problem solvers. This is the one thing I will not be cutting in half, and we'll eat 7 or 8 of them. The pierogi grilled cheese slider at Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan. It says it's not really grilled cheese, but it's sauerkraut, Mornay sauce, which is cheese sauce, and Velveeta cheese with a pierogi on a little slider bun. Making a burger out of a pierogi, genius. I love it.
Yeah. And I was late to the game. I didn't really give sauerkraut a try until I was well into my adult years, and I was wrong. It turns out sauerkraut is, when it's made right, it's just a banger of a food. So a little bit of sauerkraut on there with a pierogi and some of that Mornay sauce and some Velveeta to boot.
Yeah.
Oh, clog my arteries, please.
Again, I hope that's not behind club access because I will be getting that.
Yeah.
Now this looked interesting. I don't know about good, but interesting. This is from the Braves at Truist Park. Fielder's Catch is what they call it. A monster sandwich. And they call it a sandwich. It's got 2 lobster tails, 3 fried oysters, sweet potato fries, candied bacon, shredded lettuce, tomatoes, spicy peach remoulade with a split top bun. So it's sort of meant to be eaten like a hot dog, but it's a lobster tail topped with a bunch of other shit. Interesting is the best way I can describe this. Appetizing, maybe not so much, although I like all those things individually.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems like a project. I don't know.
It's too busy.
Yeah.
It's got too much going on, in my opinion.
They're trying too hard at Truist Park.
Yeah.
Because this next thing I sent you the other day, I said, they're making this out to be some kind of like smorgasbord, and it is not. They're calling it the 4-bagger. It's 4 burgers, 1 pound of barbecue brisket, Reaper pepper mayo, jalapenos, cheese, and beer battered onion rings. And it's made on like a platter. Seems like the kind of thing you could share, but MLB shared it with like, could you eat the whole thing? And I'm like, well, that's not that much food. If you were like going all out, I could probably take that down.
Oh, yeah. When I was younger, I definitely, when I was younger and when I was full on like powerlifting and putting away like 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day, I absolutely could have done that.
The first time my buddies came to Kansas City, we tried like every barbecue place in town, and most of those days I was putting away like 2 pounds of barbecue for dinner. And it was awesome. So that's the burgers and Sammy's, and these are just a couple other random savory items. This is the Berea egg roll from Petco Park. Berea inside an egg roll with like a creamy avocado sauce and some chopped up peppers. Simple, looks delicious.
Yeah. No, I was just watching Brian Reynolds hit a home run to make it 7-2 Pittsburgh.
Jesus Christ.
MLB The Show legend Brian Reynolds. Whenever I get a diamond Brian Reynolds, that thing never leaves the lineup. But yeah, no, this thing, like the caption from the where you grabbed it said, like the Berea craze is apparently still hot in San Diego because it's on the menu, and it's deep fried Berea egg rolls. That
Why
sounds
would
like
the Berea craze ever end? I love Berea.
I know. Right? I don't see that ending anytime soon. Thumbs up Berea, thumbs down pickleball.
This next
hot
one,
take.
yeah, no more pickleball, but keep making these little egg rolls.
Yeah.
This next one a little weird. The Dungeness Crab Pizza, from Odd Pizza in Seattle, Washington at T-Mobile Park. Definitely odd, yes. It looks a little bit like a Detroit-style pizza. It's square and has the crispy edges, but then it's topped with Dungeness crab meat, melted butter, dill, thyme, parmesan, and a little lemon. So seafood on top of a pizza in the most seafoody way possible. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
When in Seattle, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious. I need to know what the sauce is. Because
I wondered that too.
It can't you can't put cocktail sauce on there. That's
No.
gross. But I don't know if those things would taste good with a traditional,
like a tomato sauce.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe like a light like garlic herb or like just like a lemon glaze or something on the inside.
Yeah,
We gotta go. All right.
Yeah, I'd mess with that.
Let's go to Seattle.
All right, just come. You come from New York to Michigan, pick me up, and then we'll go.
Then we'll make the whole rest of the drive over.
Yep.
We gotta drive. Now we're on to the drinks and the sweets, and this next item was the talk of the town for pretty much everybody visiting Chicago in these first couple series. It's the 16-ounce campfire milkshake. It's I assume a chocolate shake. It's topped with graham crackers, marshmallows, and pieces of chocolate. It is aesthetically beautiful. It looks like a little campfire. I assume it tastes delicious because I was watching the Tigers broadcast. Literally every day they're drinking one of these motherfucking things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They were housing them and they were loving them. I when we were at my family's house for Easter, I grabbed Katie. I was like, come here. You need to see this. And she was like, we need to go to Chicago.
Yeah. My wife said the same thing. It was like, we need to go to Chicago. And I'm like, now I wouldn't normally want to go to Komitsky or what do they call it now?
Guaranteed rate.
Guaranteed rate. Thank you.
Yep.
But I might just consider it for that damn milkshake.
Yeah. So bring your wife and come get us. We'll drive to Chicago and then we'll put them on planes back to their respective hometowns.
So that we can go all the way to the
and then
Seattle.
we'll drive to Seattle.
Perfect. The Yankees are trying some what do you call them, milkshakes as well. They have 4 new milkshakes that they're introducing. All of them look very interesting. The Butterfinger Shake, Rainbow Vanilla Shake, Baby Ruth Shake, and Black and White Cookie Shake. Now, I don't know, Carl, if you're familiar with the Black and White Cookie. It is a New York delicacy that I am a gigantic fan of.
I am too. Quick story. When Kate and I went on our honeymoon, we went to New York. We took in a bunch of shows. There was a bodega right across from the street from our hotel. We stayed at the Skyline in Hell's Kitchen at
nice
49th and 10th, I think. And first thing I did was walk across the street and get a Black and White because I'd never had one, and it was worth it.
They're hard to describe. They're like cake cookies almost with a chocolate frosting on one side and vanilla frosting on the other. I usually get like a box of them that are like this size. Most stores sell them like big, this size. But I get them like this size, and I'll just eat like 2-3 of them. I got some in the kitchen right now.
Yeah, the one I bought was the size of my face.
Yeah, I mean that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say finally, but finally in this section, I thought this was the most disappointing one. At Phillies games this year, it's called the Fastball Freeze. It's frozen lemonade in a fishbowl, and that is it.
That's it.
If you're paying for this at a baseball game, I'm sorry, but what are you doing?
Yeah, some Philly, what's that John you got there in your hand? No, it's a...
I don't think there's any booze in it. I don't think there's any real, because even, if you're a kid and you're going to drink this whole fishbowl by yourself, it's too much. Your kid's going to be flying around this Citizens Bank.
It doesn't come with booze. You have to provide your own.
There you go. Well, that's a very Philly thing, too. You got the Everclear down your pants.
Yeah. That's a very Philly thing.
Now, the number 1 stadium for food, as voted on by both players and fans in America, is Citi Field. And so I wanted to make Citi Field's new food section separate. They have some phenomenal looking shit. And as Carl mentioned, a lot of their stuff is behind club access, which I do find a little annoying. So you can't get all of this stuff in the general areas of the park, and that's a bit of a bummer, but kind of wanted to feature some of it nonetheless because it looks amazing. The first item is from former Man vs. Food host Adam Richmond. This man has put his body through hell, so he knows exactly what food is good. And this thing looks amazing. A French onion soup burger. It looks like it's on some kind of brioche bun that's been depressed and put with like the melted cheese and onions on top, and then there's cheese and burger on the inside. This thing looks so good.
I know what you mean when you say depressed, but I love your choice of words. Like I just imagine somebody just like
sitting down to this burger,
sitting it in front of the television and turning on the news, and just leaving it.
Deal with it, burger. I've been very obsessed with the idea of trying to make a sandwich that represents soup, but in sandwich form. Like you could eat soup as a sandwich. Mm-hmm. This is really close to my concept.
Yeah,
from a French onion style standpoint.
What soup would you sandwich-ize?
I think to start chicken noodle, just to say like, okay, chicken noodle soup. How do you make that a sandwich? My friends and I have been trying to formulate this for years. I think we're close. We've almost cracked it.
Yeah, I think chicken noodles an obvious starting point. I think that would be good. I would like to do like a white bean chicken chili kind of thing.
Yeah,
or
as a sandwich.
As a sandwich or an Italian wedding. Make it a meatball. Meatball.
It's almost
sub.
like a meatball sub, but not. And you know what I mean by that. But it's like we're gonna crack this one of these days, listeners. Send us a comment if you've got some science on soup sandwiches. I'd love to hear from you.
Please do.
This next item is the one that I personally got to try. So this picture is from me. It is the Korean fried chicken poutine from Soulbird, and this thing was good. A little light on the gravy, I thought, and a little heavy on the cheese because there's cheese curds and there's grated Parmesan on top. So I felt like you could do one or the other. But the chicken and the fries are really good by themselves. But all of it together was it was a great meal. Ashley, what did you think?
I loved it.
My wife loved it.
Hell yeah. Hi, Ashley.
And Carl said hi.
Hi, Carl.
And she said hi back. Yeah, it was great. We ended up with club access for... It was a resale ticket that we ended up with club access for, and I was like, hey, we should go check out the club, see what they got. And it was this newer place called Soulbird, and I got to try something. I was really delighted to do so.
Yeah, it looks great.
Other things on this City Field list, we've got the Pig Beach Barbecue Brisket Mac and Cheese. Seems a little light on the brisket. They're like 4 little chunks of brisket on a little sampler of mac and cheese, but this might have just been this person's taster that they got. Maybe this doesn't look like this at the stadium. Looks good nonetheless. I mean, you give me brisket, you give me mac and cheese, I'm a happy man.
Yeah, man.
Next up is the Chitty Dog from Chitty's Cheesesteaks. It's a hot dog with steak, red onion, jalapeno, and cheese whiz. Maybe a little bit overboard. Like that looks like it will give me heartburn, and yet there's something about it that I want to try so bad.
It looks like this is going to land with hardly any of our listeners, but it looks like something Big John's Steak and Onion would sell.
Yes, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, right?
Like a Big John, if they decided to get into the hot dog business. Or there's a guy that sells hot dogs in the Flint Farmers Market. I think it's called Big Dog's Hot Dogs or something like that. This seems like a creation that he'd make. Like steak,
yeah.
Cheese Whiz. Cheese Whiz is such a wild choice, but I can't deny that it looks amazing.
Yeah, got to get it wit whiz, as they would say in Philly. That's how they, if you're ordering a cheesesteak, you say wit.
Hey,
wit
Yins,
whiz.
can I get it whizzed?
Wit whiz.
There's also this one a little viral in the baseball internet circles. It is the Walk and Roll, walk as in W-O-K, now infamous Rainbow Cookie Egg Roll. It is a rainbow cookie with raspberry jam stuffed inside an egg roll wrapper. I've heard that it's amazing. I've heard that it should be sent to the depths of hell. So very mixed reactions. We didn't find it, so I'm not sure where to eat it. But next time I'm at Citi Field, I'm very intrigued by this thing.
Yeah, again, it looks like one of those things I have to try. I don't know if I could finish it, but I would definitely snag a bite or share it with somebody.
It's fascinating looking. The last thing I had on the list was from Pat LaFrida. This is in the public. I can confirm this is in the public areas of the stadium if Pat LaFrida's Steaks is open. They weren't last time I was there. But this item is the Surf and Turf sandwich. It's filet mignon and lobster shack salad on a French baguette. It is a $40 sandwich. If that entices you while you've already paid $20 for a beer and $20 for a ticket, $8 for a hot dog, hey, when in New York, baby.
Well, that's what I saw the price point. And then I went back and I read it, saw the price point at the end, and then went back and reread it. Compared to the prices of just normal ballpark food, $40 seems
it's not so bad.
Relatively reasonable. I would imagine something like that costing upwards of $70, $75.
Yeah.
If it's scaled with, the cost.
How other stadiums scale their shit too.
Exactly.
I said it before, but Citi Field, pretty reasonable with their food prices. Unreasonable from a, normal. If somebody tried to charge you what Citi Field charges you in everyday life, I'd say no. Compared to other stadiums, though, pretty reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. I would if surf and turf was a thing I was into, and I went to the game and it was accessible to me, I might get that for $40. What the hell?
Well, that's all I got on the food. I'm really hoping. I hope at the very least that I'm gonna make a visit to Citizens Bank Park. I'm not gonna try their frozen lemonade.
No,
it's not enticing to me. But I would love to try one of these fucking delicious looking hot dogs. If I could make it out to Pittsburgh this year and get this Renegade, I would tomorrow, because this pierogi hot dog looks so good.
I'll tell you what, I've made the drive from here to Pittsburgh. It's like a 5-hour drive. If you can make the drive to Pittsburgh, or if you can make it to Pittsburgh, I'll meet you there and we'll go fuck up a Renegade dog.
Nice.
And Citizens Bank in Philly is not as beautiful. PNC Park is hands down. It's the crown jewel of Major League Baseball stadiums for a reason. But Citizens Bank is a lovely, lovely stadium as well, and I recommend everybody get there if they have a chance.
Did I tell you I got into a fight with somebody on Twitter about the ice cream and I went mildly viral?
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if I mentioned it on the show.
You did not. You sent it to me, and it was the one the Phillies fan that was going back and forth with you in good nature ribbing. Their response was hilarious.
Yeah. So I basically somebody had shared a photo. It was like this tiny little ice cream helmet of ice cream. It was like thimble sized, and I go, "Oh, in New York we have the superior sized home run apple ice cream bowl." And they were like, "Yeah, but New York sucks because they don't win any games." And I was like, "Fair enough. Hey, I'll see you at Citizens Bank and I'll get your ice cream." And it was nice. We had a nice back and forth. It was great. And then people just started going in on me like, fuck you, New York sucks. And somebody was like, your team sucks. And I was like, which one? Because I'm also a Tigers fan. And he goes, well, they both suck. I was like, well, fair enough. And so I kind of muted it because it was getting a little ridiculous. And then there was one popular Phillies fan account that was the best reply to all of this. Everybody's being mean to me except these people put the New York Mets championship banners. One was 2015 NL champions, and the next one was has big ice cream.
Large ice cream servings.
Yeah. And I thought, okay, all right, I got roasted, and honestly, pretty well.
That was hilarious.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for us here on Put Me in Coach. We are in the thick of the season now. Well, not the thick, the thin, really, but we just started, and people already are having takes. The Tigers are already letting us down. But hey, we're still, the season's still young. If this was a basketball game, it would be like a minute into the first quarter or something like that. I'm not really a basketball guy. I'm a baseball guy. We're in the first inning of the baseball season. How about that?
Yeah, let's go with that.
So, hey, join us next week. We're going to talk some more ball. We're going to eat some food, probably in between. And, yeah, that's our lives. So, thanks so much for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Put Me in Coach is an Arctic Sounds original podcast hosted by Matt Coggins and Carl Mizell. Theme music is by Quack Quack Seatback. Edited and produced by Matt Coggins. Check out the footnotes of this episode to see links to all the great highlights, articles, and sources we mentioned on the podcast today, as well as the full theme song and ways to get in touch with us. For more, find us on Twitter and Instagram at PutMeInPod or at our website, putmeincoachpod.com.